it's Jaymi Anderson, the Pilot Wife Coach, and I'm continuing my series on 5 questions that you can ask yourself to help you get through these tough times in aviation. I've talked about what it is that you can control. I've talked about things that you can do because your pilot is home all the time. I've talked about family time. And in this video, I'm going to talk about question number 4, which is, what other relationships can I rely on to get through this challenging time? I want to read you statistics. This is from a study that was done in 2018. It was done by Cigna, which is the insurance company. It says nearly half of 20,000 U.S. adults report they sometimes or always feel alone. Guys, this was before COVID, okay? This was before we were locked up in our houses. It says 40% of those people reported they sometimes or always feel that their relationships are not meaningful and that they feel isolated. Why is this a problem? This is a problem because our health depends on this. Okay, there's evidence linking perceived social isolation with adverse health consequences that include depression, poor sleep quality, impaired executive function, accelerated cognitive decline, poor cardiovascular function, and impaired immunity at every stage of life. So this isn't just older people, this isn't just younger people, this is us that we have to deal with this idea of isolation. I think we really have a crisis of isolation in this country, and I think that our lives as aviation families can really lead into this. I don't know what your situation is, if you live close to people that are in your immediate family or not. I know personally we had to move away from my family, away from my husband's family, in order to be closer for his job, and that was just a value decision that we made. And some of you might be in that same boat. But what I realized what I had to do after we did that is that I had to build community. I had to take responsibility for connecting with people. And if you haven't done that, now is the time to do it. No other time are you going to need people more than you do right now. If you're going through a tough time, if your husband is home more, is he laid off, his company has gone under, he's on a reduced schedule, not only you, but him, you guys all need to connect with the people in your community. And I don't know what that looks like for you. Maybe it's more of your family that you need to spend some time with. Maybe it is some friends that are there that you've just never been able to connect. You know, those friends that are always the we should have lunch sometime friends, right? Maybe it's just a matter of connecting with those. Yeah, it's hard right now because different places, wherever you are, when you're watching this, you might be on some sort of lockdown. Maybe you can go out to a restaurant with people, maybe you can't. But think differently about how you can connect with people. Can you get together on a patio? Can you get together and go for a walk in a park? Can you just get together on Zoom? Again, one of the gifts that we had during this time was I have some friends from college who we live in 4 different time zones, and it was awesome because all of a sudden we all had time on our hands and we could get together for a Zoom call once a week for a little while. It was such a precious time to be able to connect with each other. So maybe that's what that needs to look like. But I just encourage you to be vulnerable with people and let them know that you're going through a tough time if you really need some support to rely on them. One of the things when we moved and I had young kids and I had to go see a physical therapist because I was having these horrible headaches, and I didn't have grandma that I could ask. You know, I had to ask people who I really hadn't known for a long time if they could keep my daughter for an hour or 2 while I went to physical therapy, and that was really hard. It was hard to ask for help, and I think as pilots' wives, we're kind of, if you're like me, you're like, I can handle this. I can handle whatever it takes, whatever life throws at me, and I don't need anyone else to help. But the reality is sometimes you do. And so I want to encourage you to be vulnerable and to think about those people in your lives that you can connect with. And occasionally I'll talk to people and they feel like they can only connect maybe with other aviation families. We're really, really fortunate in this day and age. The Facebook groups that exist now didn't exist when my kids were little. And places like Sky Families or different groups on Facebook where you can really talk to people that that understand your position. Those are really valuable things, but I encourage you to take it beyond just that kind of connection if you can connect in person with people. But don't just feel like the only people who would understand what you're going through are other pilots' wives. There's a lot of people that are looking for connection, and it doesn't matter what their family, what their husband does for a living or whatever. I know that I had a really powerful moment when my daughter was little, and I realized that my neighbor had a husband who traveled for work. But guess what? When he traveled for work and he would come home, let's say on a Wednesday at noon, he still had to go in the office for the rest of the week. And I didn't have that. But when he was gone and Brian was gone, we would sometimes get together, and it's hard to cook dinner for toddlers. Sometimes they're not really an especially wonderful audience when it comes to that, but we would cook just so we could have adult food and eat together as a family. She wasn't a pilot's wife, it didn't matter, but just think about outside the box too. It doesn't have to be people that are in your same age group. It doesn't have to be people that are in your same life stage. Sometimes those are really valuable connections, but sometimes it's just other people in your life that are right there in front of you that you can connect with. So really want to encourage you to do that. And your action step for this question is to think about one person that you want to connect with this week and make a plan for that. Is it that we should have coffee sometime, friend? And maybe you just text them and say, how about Tuesday at 2:00 at this place? We meet for coffee. Just finally try to get that nailed down. Maybe it's texting someone that you haven't talked to for a long time and they're on that passing list, that passing thought list that you have running through your head. Make an effort to connect with those. We need those relationships, but you know what? They need them too. It's not just about you. It's about everyone right now needs to connect with people. So again, I'm just going to ask this question, repeat the question for you so that you can ask yourself that, what other relationships, so when I say other relationships, I'm talking beyond your marriage, what other relationships can I rely on to get through this challenging time? Good luck, and I'll talk to you in the next video about your own personal identity and how that all factors into all of this. You can talk to me at thepilotwifecoach.com if you want to get in touch. Thanks.